Hey guys, what is up? One more time here. I've got just one more projection I wanted to share, and this one was the same night, actually, that the previous video I talked about where Usha, this guide or whoever that I met out of body, said we were going to work on fear. Now, this one I actually induced using the indirect method, which I just posted a video about, so if you haven't watched that video and you're interested in learning more about the indirect method, go ahead and watch that. So I won't go into too much detail on how I projected, but essentially I projected immediately upon waking up. And really my desire here was to go back to the same scenario, to go back to this city and have another try at this test and see if I could just remain still, be smashed by the building, overcome my fear, and just really see where that led. But no luck. This particular scenario, I rolled out of my body and I'm standing in my room. And so, not being in the city where I was hoping I would end up, I immediately do what I always do. I turn to my list of tasks that I want to accomplish or perform in the Astral because, as I've said before, you should always have a task list. You should always have something that you want to do because the time in the Astral is always shorter than you want it to be, and it's great to feel like you've used it productively, not waste your time. So, reading through my dream journal, actually last week, it occurred to me that I have never experienced any sort of adverse weather conditions while out of body. And I thought it would be really cool to feel rain in this out-of-body state. So I thought that's a good one for today. I'm going to do that. So I leave my bedroom, run down my hall, go down my stairs. I'm in my front room, my living room, and I'm standing at the front door. And before I open the door, I put all of my intent into the idea that when I open this door, it's going to be raining behind the door. Now, for those of you that have projected, you know that the astral is a very thought-responsive place, and especially so when you have a closed door or a corner or some location ahead of you that you can't see. It's very easy to just put your intent out there and manifest whatever you like behind that door or around that corner. So I did that. I opened the door, and sure enough, it worked. It was raining. It was pouring outside. And it was really, really incredible. I could feel the humidity coming in through the screen door and hitting me through the door from the falling rain. So I open the door, I walk out, and I'm standing in the front yard, and I'm just looking up at this rain coming down on me, and it feels just like it does in the physical. It's really, really amazing. And in fact, I think it probably helped deepen this experience and really helped enhance it. I've mentioned in my previous videos about projections that any sort of interaction with your five senses really helps to make you more lucid and to solidify this experience. Well, rain falling on you from head to foot really does a good job of engaging your sense of touch, and it made this whole entire experience really so crystal clear and incredible. Now, I'm not standing in my neighborhood at this point. I'm standing in some other very lush green, looks like some sort of mountain town type neighborhood. And there's a little boy, and he's playing in the front yard, and he's pushing this bulldozer and shoving dirt around in the front yard in the rain, and he looks like he's having a good time. And I sit there and I watch him for a minute or two. And then I notice there's a pine tree, or more of a bush, like a shrub that's off to my right-hand side. And I decide I'm going to do one of my favorite things. And so if you've seen my previous videos, you probably know what's coming. I walk over, grab a handful of pine needles, and I shove them in my mouth. And I start chewing them up, and I'm swallowing them, and I can taste this pine flavor. For those of you who this is the first video you've seen of mine, I like to put things in my mouth while I'm out of body. The mixture of engaging your sense of taste and touch together, it again helps deepen and just solidify and enhance the experience. So as weird as it sounds, highly recommend grabbing anything. Doesn't have to be food. Put it in your mouth and experience that sensation. So I'm chewing up these pine needles and I'm swallowing them. And at this point, I've already accomplished this task on my list. And so I decide I'm going to go look for more people. The only person outside so far that I've seen is this little boy. So I look at this house that's next door to this house I've just come out of. And it's a big blue house with like a brick type pillar that's holding up a balcony that kind of wraps around the house that also serves as the front porch. And I'm going to go to that. I decide I'm going to go to that house and I'm going to go inside and look for people. And what better way to do that than fly? Flying is by far my favorite thing to do out of body. It's amazing. So I jump all the way from the road, the main road, and fly over the front lawn, and I land on the front porch right at the front door. And I don't bother knocking, I just walk right in. And I start exploring this house. And I walk through the kitchen, and at this point I've finished swallowing my pine needles. So I open the pantry because I want something else to eat. and I grab a handful of chips and shove them into my mouth, and they're crunchy and salty, and they have this lime flavoring on them, and they're really good. And as I walk through the house eating my chips, I'm still looking for somebody. And I get to the very back bedroom, and I've made it through this entire house, and I haven't found anybody. So I decide I'm going to go back outside, and I'm going to continue looking for people. And right about when I get to the front door, I hear voices. And there's a lady and a little girl who looks like she's maybe 3 or 4, blonde hair down to her shoulders. The mom looks very similar, hair that's a little longer, maybe a little darker brown. They walk through the front door, and they just stop, I suppose because I'm standing in their living room. They stop and they look up at me, and their reaction is not what I expected. This lady, she runs up to me and she wraps her arms around me. She says, "I am so glad you're home." And I don't hug her back. I just my arms are hanging limp to my side, and I am just racking my brain trying to think who this lady is. And she takes both of her hands and she recognizes that I'm not, hugging her back. And she takes both her hands and she puts them on my face like this, and she says, "Don't you remember me?" And her eyes are just filled with tears, and I can see that this lady, I'm upsetting her. So, I say, "Oh, yeah, 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 I remember you." And all of this communication when you're out of body, I should mention, it's nonverbal. It's like you're communicating through feeling or through, almost like through telepathy, just clairvoyant type communication. And so I'm hearing these thoughts that she's producing, and she's hearing my responses, and it's just like talking, but without vocalizing any words. And so I say, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I remember you," just trying not to upset this lady any further. And she knows that I'm lying. She knows I don't remember her. And so she keeps on hugging me, just trying to push these thoughts and these memories and these images into my head to try to help me remember who it is that she is and where it is that I currently am. And so I close my eyes and I'm trying to focus on these pictures that she's sending into my head. And then at that point, I phase back to my body and it's over. So really an interesting experience. It's always interesting to run into somebody that you feel like you should know or that feels like they know you. And I haven't gotten to the point where I can say these experiences are real or whether they're all just hallucinated imaginations. I can tell you they feel incredibly real, which I know is not the same as being real, but I would love at some point to really gather some kind of verifiable information to figure out, if any of this is more than just imagination. It would be a very cool experiment to do, but at this point I haven't been able to do that. So that was the end of this projection. Thanks for watching. Just wanted to share. As always, like, comment, subscribe, help me build this community, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks.